Hello my motor enthusiasts. Today's pulse races from the tracks of Monza where Charles Leclerc clinched an unexpected victory at the 2024 Italian Grand Prix. Outsmarting the favourites, McLaren, with a daring one-stop strategy, Leclerc steered Ferrari to glory on their home turf. McLaren, despite a strong car, saw Lando Norris start on pole only to be overtaken early by teammate Oscar Piastri, eventually finishing third. While Mercedes grappled with middling performances, Red Bull also struggled, a stark contrast to their season's dominance. This Grand Prix not only thrilled with its on-track duels but reshaped team strategies for the races to come. What a spectacle at Monza, a blend of strategic mastery and racing heart. Hey there, I'm Enzo and alongside me is the ever-observant William. You're tuned into F1 Motor Fever podcast, the daily dose of all things fast and furious in the world of Formula 1. Remember to subscribe to our channel, turn on those notifications, and do drop us a comment. Sharing this with your mates and family would really rev up our engines here.
Absolutely, Enzo. It's the support from our listeners that keeps us racing ahead with the latest and greatest from the tracks.
Today, you won't believe the turn of events we're discussing. It involves unexpected victories and strategic surprises that could shake up the whole season. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for this. It's not just about the speed on the track, but the smart moves off it that make this sport so thrilling.
That's right, and it's these moments that remind us why we love racing. Every turn can lead to something completely unexpected.
Full throttle, folks. Stay tuned. So there we were, at Monza, and what a day it was. Charles Leclerc, driving for Ferrari, pulled off what can only be described as a racing masterstroke. While McLaren were the pre-race favourites, their strategy simply didn't hold water against Ferrari's bold one-stop gamble. As the laps unfolded, it was clear that Leclerc was not just in the race, but he was dictating it, stalking Oscar Piastri right after taking over Lando Norris early on.
Didn't quite catch that. What did you mean? Could you elaborate?
Of course. You see, during the race, Ferrari made a crucial decision to stick with a one-stop strategy for Leclerc, which is essentially fewer pit stops, a risky move that requires managing tyre wear very carefully. Meanwhile, McLaren opted for a more conventional two-stop strategy for their drivers. This difference in tactics meant that while McLaren was busy pitting their drivers a second time, Leclerc was out there, steadily extending his lead. The atmosphere was electric. The Italian fans, the Tifosi, were absolutely ecstatic as Ferrari clinched the win at their home circuit. Leclerc himself said winning at Monza was as thrilling as his first victory there, which just shows the emotional weight it carries for him and for Ferrari, especially when held up against their storied backdrop. Moving on from Ferrari's triumph, let's talk about McLaren and their reaction. It was a day of mixed emotions for them at Monza. Despite having a car that was seemingly in a class of its own, they couldn't capitalize on it. Oscar Piastri put in a solid performance, clinching second place, but the sting of not securing the top spot was evident in his post-race comments. He acknowledged the risk in their strategy and, although it paid off in terms of race pace, it wasn't enough to beat Ferrari.
It must be tough to lead most of the race and then not win. But looking at the silver lining, securing second and third places is still a commendable outcome, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's the spirit of racing. Every decision, every second counts, and sometimes it's about playing the long game. Lando Norris managed a commendable third after a robust race, overtaking some of the biggest names on the track. It's these moments that teams will learn from. McLaren showed they have the pace, and it's about refining those strategies and maybe taking the bolder decisions when it counts. And let's not overlook Mercedes and Red Bull. It was a tough weekend for both teams, with cars not performing up to the mark. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell had their challenges, and Red Bull, surprisingly, found themselves struggling more than usual. But, as we've seen time and again, these teams have the ability to bounce back strongly.
That's true. Racing isn't just about one Grand Prix. It's a season-long battle, and every team has its highs and lows. The key is resilience and learning from every circuit, every lap.
Precisely. And while today's result might not have been ideal for some, it sets the stage for a thrilling comeback. The beauty of Formula 1 is its unpredictability and the constant evolution. Teams that might have fallen short today have all to play for in the next race. Let's make the most of this dynamic and see how they turn these experiences into victories down the line. Just a side note, the insights we've been discussing come from an article by Paul Velasco on GrandPrix247.com. It provided a thorough recap of the race.
That's a solid source. It's crucial in sports journalism, as well as for fans, to rely on information from trusted websites. Helps keep the facts straight and the rumors at bay.
Absolutely, and it's always a good reminder to check the details, especially with such an unpredictable sport. We'll continue to use such reliable sources to bring the latest and most accurate updates to our listeners. Now, back to our race analysis. Continuing our dive into the race, the drama was palpable from the start. Norris and Piastri both had impressive starts, which set the stage for some bold maneuvers. One particularly audacious move saw the younger McLaren driver take the lead with an around-the-outside overtake at the second variant. This, coupled with a brief fumble by Norris, allowed Leclerc to advance as well.
Could you give an example of why such a maneuver is considered so audacious?
Certainly. In Formula 1, overtaking around the outside is risky because the outer part of the track generally has less grip due to less rubber being laid down and more debris. It requires precise control and impeccable timing to execute without running off the track or losing speed. Piastri's move not only showed his skill but also his willingness to take risks, which is crucial in gaining positions and making a statement in the race. As the laps progressed, the tactical battle became even more intense. By lap 15, we saw Norris called into the pits in an attempt to undercut Leclerc, which actually worked. He managed to get out ahead after the pit stops. Meanwhile, Piastri responded brilliantly, putting in the fastest lap at that point to consolidate his lead.
How significant is timing in these pit strategies?
Timing is everything. Pit stops are like chess moves. You need to predict your opponent's play and sometimes counteract before they make their move. An undercut, for instance, is when a driver pits a lap or so before his rival, gets fresh tires, and uses them to make up time on the track, ideally rejoining ahead of the rival post their pit stop. It's all about precision and prediction. As the race developed, we saw the strategy from Red Bull playing out with Verstappen and Perez both pushing hard on hard tires, delaying their stops and thus temporarily holding the top positions. This kind of strategic variation adds layers to the race, keeping teams on their toes and fans on the edge of their seats. Right, for those just tuning into F1 Motor Fever podcast, we're delving into the riveting dynamics of the recent Italian Grand Prix. We've seen some sterling starts from Norris and Piastri, with Piastri taking a bold overtake around the outside to snatch the lead early on. Then, a strategic dance of pit stops unfolded, Norris pulling a successful undercut on Leclerc, and Piastri maintaining his lead with some rapid laps. All the while, Red Bull tried to stretch their stint on harder tires, showcasing a variety of strategies among the teams.
Absolutely thrilling. The tactical nuances this season have just been top-notch, haven't they?
Indeed, it's been a masterclass in strategy and precision driving. The importance of timing and risk-taking in those pit stop decisions can't be overstated. It really sets the stage for the second half of the race, where every second and every decision can swing the results dramatically.
And that's why we love Formula 1, isn't it? The unpredictability and on-the-edge racing keeps us all hooked. Shall we continue with the lap-by-lap breakdown?
Absolutely, let's dive back into the action and see how the strategies played out as the race progressed. As we continue unfolding the drama of this race, we witnessed a crucial pit stop for Verstappen, which took 6 seconds due to a stubborn right rear tire. This definitely added a twist, as Perez then took the lead before making his own stop. By lap 25, Piastri was back in the lead, inching ahead of Norris, and Leclerc wasn't far behind, all maintaining a tight grasp on their positions with some incredible driving.
It's fascinating to observe how these pit strategies play out, altering the dynamics of the race minute by minute.
Indeed, and what's compelling is Norris setting the fastest lap at that point, despite being 2.3 seconds down on Piastri. It's a testament to the relentless pursuit these drivers have towards not just leading but dominating. We saw Russell also making bold moves, although having to cede position after going off track due to an aggressive overtake. By lap 33, the strategic calls for second sets of tyres began rolling out, with significant implications on standings. Leclerc and Sainz found themselves in a Ferrari 1-2 after Piastri's pit, only to have Piastri rejoin the fray in a strong third position. This musical chairs of positions is what keeps all of us so glued to Formula 1, isn't it?
Absolutely, the strategy layers are deep, and every decision from tyre choice to pit stop timing can have monumental effects.
Wow. I can't help but think how amazing the world of Formula 1 is. Such emotions, such competitiveness, such adrenaline. It's quite something, isn't it? What do you reckon, my lovely audience? Are you enjoying the content? Don't forget to hit the like button, alright? I'm absolutely loving these updates, and I hope you are too. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. Let's carry on with more insights and break down what these strategies could mean for the final laps as we anticipate more thrilling actions and possibly some more strategic surprises. Moving forward to lap 41, we saw Norris executing a stunning maneuver, overtaking Verstappen for 4th place into turn 1. Following this, Verstappen pitted once again, falling back to 6th. The tension was palpable, as McLaren seemed to believe Ferrari might stick with a one-stop strategy. This race, the strategic play was nothing short of a chess match, with each team making moves that could alter the championship landscape.
Indeed, the aggressive push from Piastri under the bridge to snatch second place from Sainz was a highlight. McLaren's performance today has been formidable, showing their strategic depth and the driver's sheer skill and audacity.
By lap 48, Norris had climbed to 3rd, showing a relentless pursuit and a clear signal that McLaren was not just participating but aiming to dominate. This brings us to the broader picture of the season. Despite the challenges faced by Red Bull, with Verstappen struggling with the balance of his car, it's thrilling to see such a competitive season unfold. It's a reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in Formula One, and why the sport remains so captivating. As we discuss the unfolding events, it's important to note the optimism that surrounds McLaren. They've clearly set the stage for a strong performance throughout the season, and even in the face of adversity, there's always a silver lining. The dynamics at Monza today have shown us that even dominant teams can find themselves re-evaluating strategies and performance, leading to exciting and unpredictable races.
That's absolutely right. It's these moments that remind us of the ever-evolving nature of Formula One. Each race is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and sometimes, to reset expectations. Both the teams and the fans can glean something good from every situation, whether it's a win, a loss, or a hard-fought battle.
So, let's keep our spirits high and look forward to more thrilling races. The resilience shown by the teams and the drivers is a testament to the sport's enduring appeal. And for us, as fans and commentators, it provides an endless supply of excitement and discussion. Thanks to all our listeners for joining in, and remember, there's always something good to take away from each race weekend. Let's carry on enjoying this fantastic season of Formula One. Today at Monza, the stakes are incredibly high, with a script almost written for McLaren. We're expecting Norris to take the lead early on, if he gets off to a good start, with Piastri playing the crucial role of wingman. Meanwhile, there's a potent mix brewing just behind them, with Ferrari and Mercedes locked in a vigorous battle, and Verstappen, despite the challenges, trying to carve through to the podium.
That's right, and let's not forget the intense pressure on Ferrari, racing on home soil. With Tifosi eagerly hoping for a win, the atmosphere is electrifying. Both Leclerc and the birthday boy, Sainz, are feeling this weight of expectation, but they have shown in the past that they can rise to the occasion.
Absolutely, and adding spice to this mix is Lewis Hamilton, competing in his last Italian Grand Prix for Mercedes before a significant move to Ferrari next season. What a narrative it would be for Sir Lewis to clinch a victory today. It would indeed be a dramatic send-off, but his poor qualifying performance means he has quite the mountain to climb.
Speaking of challenges, Verstappen is consistently outpacing his teammate Perez, even on his bad days. It raises the question, if Max can't get the car to perform, what chances does Perez have? He's in dire need of a podium finish to prove he still has what it takes.
And we mustn't overlook the newcomers and the battles further back. A warm welcome to Franco Colapinto, the 777th driver to start a Grand Prix. What a milestone in Formula One history. Meanwhile, in what we might term the second division, we've got the likes of Albon and Hülkenberg starting on the fifth row, with Alonso lurking not far behind, ready to pounce.
It's shaping up to be a day filled with drama, strategy, and perhaps a few surprises. The gap between the leading teams and the rest might be shrinking, which only adds to the unpredictability and excitement of races like today's.
Indeed, each race brings its own unique set of challenges and opportunities. At Monza, the blend of high speeds, passionate fans, and strategic gambles make it one of the season's highlights. Let's keep our fingers crossed for another memorable race day here in the heart of motorsport country. Speaking of milestones, it's quite fascinating to think about the evolution of safety in motorsport, isn't it? From the early days of leather helmets to modern carbon fiber safety cells, the journey has been incredible. I was reading up on some of the pivotal changes last night, and it's astounding how.
That's a rich topic for sure, but perhaps we're veering a bit off the pulse of today's race action.
Right, my apologies, got a bit carried away there. Let's refocus on today's high stakes at Monza. As we delve deeper into the season, today marks the 75th Italian Grand Prix since the championship began in 1950, and the 74th at this iconic Monza track. Known as the Temple of Speed, it's a circuit that boasts long straights and 11 corners, where 76% of the lap time is spent at full throttle, pushing speeds over 350 km per hour.
Indeed, and it's thrilling to note that Monza has been completely resurfaced for the first time since its inception in 1922. With new curbs installed as well, drivers are going to be testing their limits on a somewhat unfamiliar terrain today.
That's an excellent point. And speaking of testing limits, today could be one of the shortest races of the year, time-wise, due to those high speeds. History is deep here, with legends like Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher each having won 5 times at this circuit. Not to forget, Hamilton's record for the fastest ever lap in Formula One, set right here at Monza.
Absolutely, and the battle for this year's championship intensifies. Verstappen leads the standings by 70 points over McLaren's Lando Norris, while Red Bull holds a 30-point lead over McLaren in the Constructors' Championship. It's a critical phase in the season, and every race, every point matters now more than ever.
True, every point does indeed matter. And while we talk about the points, it's fascinating to reflect on the records too. Hamilton, a 7-times world champion, has notched up a staggering 105 career victories from 347 starts. Meanwhile, Verstappen has accumulated 61 wins from 200 starts. It's these kinds of stats that underline the incredible talent and consistency these drivers bring to the track.
With such a rich history and intense competition, today's race is not just about speed, but strategic mastery and perhaps making history yet again at this legendary venue. Let's keep our eyes peeled as the drama unfolds on this newly resurfaced track.
This season has been a remarkable showcase of competition and strategy, with 4 teams, Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, and Mercedes, all claiming victories. This level of diversity in the winner's circle is the most we've seen since 2021.
Indeed, and to add to that, 7 different drivers have claimed the top spot on the podium this season. It's the highest number since 2012, which truly speaks volumes about the competitive nature of this season.
Particularly intriguing is the current situation with Red Bull. They've not seen a victory in 5 races, marking Max Verstappen's longest losing streak since 2020. This really mixes up the expectations and predictions for the rest of the season.
And while we're on the topic of achievements, let's not overlook the milestones being reached. Lando Norris recently celebrated his first win from pole position at the Dutch Grand Prix. And speaking of celebrations, Carlos Sainz will be turning 30 on race day. It's a big milestone in any driver's life, and I'm sure he's eager to mark it with a memorable performance.
Absolutely, and there's fresh talent making waves too. Italian 18-year-old Kimi Antonelli is set to make his Formula One race weekend debut in first Friday practice with Mercedes. It's always exciting to see new faces on the track, bringing fresh energy and perspective to the sport.
Definitely, and let's not forget about Argentina's Franco Colapinto making his race debut at Williams, the first driver from Argentina on the starting grid since 2001. It's these fresh dynamics that keep the world of Formula One so vibrant and unpredictably thrilling.
True, the blend of seasoned champions and emerging talents keeps everyone on their toes. With the standings as tight as they are, each race and every point becomes crucial to the championship narrative. We'll have to wait and see how these stories unfold in the upcoming races. William, what's the word on the street, internet-wise?
Right, listen to this. Charles Leclerc has clinched the 2024 Italian Grand Prix for Ferrari.
Oh, that's a juicy bit. What are the fans saying?
Well, user Oliver Speed commented, quote, "How did Ferrari build a car that can only win at both Monaco and Monza?" unquote. Quite the conundrum, isn't it?
Seems like a bit of a specialist machine, that one.
And it gets better. Patrick Adder chimes in, quote, "The slowest and fastest, nothing in between," unquote.
The fastest slowest car and the fastest car, they say. It's all a bit of a riddle wrapped in an enigma.
Exactly. And then, Peter Pantslis had his say, calling it, quote, "the most fantastic dumb joke I've read in a while. I can't wait to make my wife's eyes roll out of her head with this one," unquote.
Oh, the banter. How about the other teams? Any word on them?
Indeed. User David Mass flipped it by reminding everyone, quote, "Australia too," unquote. Seems Ferrari's unpredictable successes are stirring quite the debate.
And there's always a bit of strategy talk, isn't there?
Absolutely. User Jason Deflator praised the strategists, saying, quote, "By the strategists all the pizza in Italy today. Incredible strategy and drive," unquote. Though not everyone agrees, Farouk questioned the call for the first stop being so early.
Strategy can make or break a race, that's for sure. And it sounds like Ferrari's had a bit of both this season.
That's racing for you. Peaks and troughs, highs and lows. And speaking of highs, Nexus chimed in with, quote, "Absolute insanity. 1 Monaco. 1 Monza for Ferrari. Charles is Ferrari," unquote.
He really has become synonymous with the team, hasn't he? A testament to his skill and perhaps a bit of that famous Italian passion.
No doubt about that.
Thanks for tuning into F1 Motor Fever podcast today. We've had a thrilling discussion about the diverse achievements this Formula One season, from multiple winners to impressive team strategies. It's been fantastic sharing this with you. Please, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of our episodes. Your support truly means a lot to us. Feel free to share our channel across all your socials, WhatsApp, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and even chat about it over dinner or drinks with friends.
Absolutely, and keep those comments coming in. It's always amusing to see what you all think. Remember, we're here daily, bringing you the latest and greatest from the world of Formula One. And there's always something interesting on the horizon, perhaps even a surprise or two, so don't miss out.
We're immensely grateful for your time and enthusiasm. It's your passion that fuels our discussions and makes F1 Motor Fever podcast the thrilling ride it is. We're eagerly looking forward to the next time we get to share this space with you.
So keep those engines revving and those minds racing. There's plenty more to come.
Pedal to the metal, keep your gaze on the road, our channel's content is pure gold.